Hey guys, welcome to 𝓗𝓵𝓵'𝓼. Today we got Hell's Kitchen featuring the new Arcanine EX with a Bright Flame attack doing 250 damage for 3 fire, and we're using this with obviously our Magma Basin and the new Rapidash from Silver Tempest, helping us add 30 more damage for our fire type Pokemons. If we discard a fire energy from our hand, we get to use this ability every single turn to add 30 more damage to our fire Pokemon's attacks, including our Simisear. So we have our V-Star combo as well for this deck. We're doing 280 damage to knock out a V-Star with our Bright Flame using Arcanine EX, while also discarding energies, collecting enough energy in our discard pile for us to play Ember Star late game for a big knockout. So Ember Star is a V-Star power that allows you to do 30x damage for each energy in your discard pile. It doesn't matter if it's special energies, it doesn't matter if it's basic energy, as long as you have a lot of energies in the discard pile, you get to do a lot of damage with Ember Star for only 1 fire cost, which is crazy. So this is a V-Star attack that allows you to collect a big knockout late game, to finish off the game by doing a VMAX or even a V-Star knockout, and that actually secures you the win if you can do the first few knockouts with your Arcanine. So we are discarding with not just Rapidash, we're discarding our energies using our Greninja and also our attack, and that means we actually get to discard a lot early game and eventually have at least 10 in the discard pile, 10 fire energy in the discard pile for us to do 300 damage, knocking out a V-Star. If we're up against a VMAX or an EX, Gardevoir for example, we need a little bit more, 1 more energy just to knock out a VMAX. We just need 11 energies in the discard pile for a VMAX knockout, which is quite easy. We have our research as well for the discard. We have Serena, Raihan, and Experience to satisfy the attack, to satisfy our attack cost, Serena and Boss to do the boss effect. We have our Arven to get our experience share. We have our regular supporter cards, Youngster, Miriam to shuffle back our Pokemon. We have also Schoolgirl just because we are playing 2 prize attackers. We have our EX, V-Star, and also Entei, forcing them to draw 2 prize at a time, and that means Schoolgirl allows us to draw 4 cards whenever we are, unless if they do a boss on the Greninja or if we have our Cyclizar knocked out. So Cyclizar allows you the free retreat just because we are playing 4 copies of Magma Basin, allowing us to attach the energy just before just after they knock out our Pokemon. Our attacking Pokemon, we actually get to put forth our Cyclizar without having to do a switch. We actually get to do Magma Basin, retreat, and play our Entei in a single turn, or even Magma Basin, retreat, experience share, and attack with Bright Flame using the second Arcanine. So that's the power of Cyclizar, allowing us the free retreat, helping us, do our Magma Basin, attacking immediately after we get knocked out on our opponent's last turn, my bad. And we also have our Greninja for the draw support with our Entei to do Fleet Foot. We're playing 2 copies of Entei V here, helping us do early knockouts as well, or at least get some damage in the game early, doing Burning Rondo for huge damage, depending on how many bench Pokemon each player have. And we also get to do extra damage with Entei as well using Rapidash's Heat Boost ability. And we also have our regular setup cards, our 4 VIP Pass, 4 Nest Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, with 1 Capturing Aroma to get either an evolution or a basic, depending on the coin flip, 1 Heavy Ball to get our basic from the prize, 1 Level Ball to get our basic Pokemons. Since, Growlithe is 90 HP or less, we actually get to search for Growlithe, Ponyta, or even, only those 2 actually with our Level Ball. So it may be better to play 1 more Capturing Aroma instead of the Level Ball, because it doesn't actually get you your Entei, Cyclizar, or even Greninja, and that's the reason we're playing only 1 copy. We also have our Escape Rope, 2 copies for the Switch. And I think that's all for the deck list. We have also 1 Peonia to get any cards from the prize, since we are only playing 1 copy of our Simisear and also 1 copy of Rapidash. It's a very tight list, but we do have Peonia to get cards from the prize if we need to. If we have our evolution prize, for example, we have no other way to get it but with our Peonia. If we have our basic prize, we can actually search for it with our Heavy Ball. We have also 1 Arven to search for the Heavy Ball, while also helping us attach the experience share for us to retrieve the energy onto our bench Pokemon, helping us do Bright Flame a second time, or even play our Fireball Fever at some point in the game using Magma Basin, experience share, or even the Raihan to get 3 energy in a single turn. We are also playing our 15 basic fire energy to help us discard fast enough so that we actually get to play Ember Star for big knockout at the end, as we said. And we also get to play Heat Boost for Simisear, by the way. So Heat Boost allows us 30 more damage for all of our fire Pokemons, and that means you get to play this not only to discard extra energies for you to do more damage with your Simisear, you are also doing 30 more with the ability's effect. So for example, if you have 9 basic fire in a discard pile, you are already hitting 270 damage with your Amber Star, and all you need is one more discard with Rapidash to kill a VMAX by doing 330 damage, not just counting the amount of energies that you have in the discard pile, you are also counting the effect of its ability for the damage boost. So that's all for the deck list. Now let's go for some gameplay and see how well this deck works. Okay, let's go for our first game. We're up against Arceus, Giratina, and Vulpix. So it's the EU IC champion deck. They're playing the Arceus V-Star for Trinity Nova, charging up the Vulpix and the Duraludon on the bench. And they're using Vulpix to basically prevent all damage done by Pokemon with ability. So it works really well against the meta. It works against the Gardevoir EX decks since they are playing nothing but ability attackers with abilities. And that means they can't do any damage to the Vulpix at all unless if they play Escape Rope Boss at the same time. If they have nothing but Vulpix in play, and if they keep attacking, if they keep using the V-Star to attack Snow Mirage, they actually get to stay alive for the rest of the game by doing 160 damage over and over, slowly knocking out their opponent's active Pokemon by doing only Snow Mirage throughout the entire game. So they can actually win with nothing but Vulpix against decks like Miraidon EX as well, since they are playing abilities with Regieleki VMAX having abilities, Miraidon having an ability, Raikou having an ability. If they attack with the Lightning Wall though, they can actually choose to attack with the basic Ilaki. They can still knock out the Vulpix, but they're not doing a lot of damage, right? Bad thing is that Vulpix is actually forced to keep using the attack. So if they have a VMAX on the bench, for example, they can do 130 damage with Lightning Wall and then, you know, reduce 100 from the Vulpix. If they don't attack with Vulpix, you know, they can actually, their opponent can actually play a boss on the next turn to finish off the Vulpix because they don't have the effect anymore. The effect only lasts for as long as they use the attack. The moment they stop using Snow Mirage, they are no longer impervious to Pokemon's attacks with abilities. So it's quite difficult to play Vulpix than you would think. If your opponent plays a Regieleki to attack, you're not doing as much damage, you're only doing 60 damage at a time, and they just need 3 strikes to finish off your Vulpix. Whereas you need a lot of hits just to finish off the Ilaki, because they have 100 damage reduction every single turn with Lightning Wall. So it's not perfect, right? It is an EU IC champion deck. Like the International Cup tournament, which is insane. That we're up against such a crazy winners deck right now. No pressure, right? No pressure. We got our Arcanine in the active. It's fine. We just need to evolve it and start attacking. They're doing Trinity Charge on the first turn. No V-Star yet. That's a good sign. So they can still choose whether to play the V-Star power for Arceus or Vulpix, right? They can choose either to play Starbirth for free search, or they can play Vulpix's V-Star attack for a free knockout. But we're not playing that many V Pokemons though. We have nothing but Entei V in our deck, and we're only playing 2 copies. Oh, we got our Simisear, my bad. Simisear is a V Pokemon, and that means if we have 3 copies of V in play, they are only doing 210 damage though. 70x for Silvery Snowstar for each Pokemon, for each of your opponent's Pokemon V in play, they get to do 70x damage. So let's do the basin. Are we gonna play the Escape Rope? Because if we play the Escape Rope right now, we at least get to do more damage with Burning Rondo on one of the bench. I'm not sure if that's a good thing though, because we need to be targeting the Arceus. I feel like we should be able to get the Rapidash though. We should be able to deal with the V-Star at some point with Arcanine. I feel like it's more important to strike the bench right now while we can. So let's just play the Escape Rope. We could actually choose to play Raging Tackle for a few turns because they don't actually got the knockout. I don't think they can kill the Arcanine. Oh, they got Vulpix though. If they play Vulpix to attack, they can actually finish off the Arcanine at some point. I'm not sure why they are attaching the energies in a weird way. They should be attaching either 3 water onto the Vulpix, 1 water to Colorless, or, you know, preparing the Duraludon to attack already, but they actually are choosing not to attach 3 energies onto a single Pokemon. They can easily just retreat with the Arceus though, and attach one from their hand to attack with the Duraludon, but then they would need to think about attaching the energy back to the Arceus, right? And the Duraludon can't really last that long, so they need like 3 more energies on the next turn. If they play a double turbo though, I don't think they would be that lucky to get another turbo in their hand for Arceus. So retreating for 2 energies is actually pretty heavy for Arceus. And they're playing Trinity Charge again, not doing the knockout. No Nova. They could have done a knockout with Choice Belt against the Entei, but they couldn't get the V-Star apparently, because they're playing too many Pokemons. They got triple evolution. We got a lot of evolutions as well. I'm not sure how many copies they're playing though. They got Arceus with the V-Star, Vulpix with the V-Star, and Duraludon with the VMAX. We got our Arcanine, 2 copies, Entei, 2 copies, Arcanine is an evolution, Rapidash is an evolution, but we only are playing 1 copy, Simisear is also an evolution, but we only have 1 copy of that as well. So they got no draw support. The only support they have is Star Birth. They could be playing Radiant Greninja, you never know, but you don't see that for this game though. They could have it Price, I don't know. So we got our first knockout against Vulpix, using the same Entei, using our Serena. So at some point, while building this deck, I decided to play 2 Serena and 1 Boss. And eventually, I realized that that's not a good list because it keeps showing up early. I don't know why, but Serena loves to show up early if you play that many copies. I don't think it's wise to play 2 copies, honestly. Because you're not even drawing that many cards, and you're discarding a lot of resources. I don't think we can afford to discard that many things from our hand. Early game as well, and that's why we only have 2 research. Only 2 research, 1 Serena. We have another supporter card now, which I'm not actually too sure what it is. I think it's Youngster or something, but it's helping us draw a lot more. We have a Schoolgirl, right? We have a Schoolgirl helping us draw cards without discarding our hand. We used to have a Zinnia, now we swapped it out for a Schoolgirl. Discarding from your hand is actually a good thing, but we have 4 Ultra Balls for that. So we can choose to discard with our Ultra Ball if we don't have enough fire energy in the discard pile to play Ember Star with. Because Ember Star is only doing 30x damage for each fire in the discard, for each energy in the discard pile. So if you want to do more damage with Ember Star late game, if you need 2 more discards, for example, after playing a Greninja, after playing Rapidash, and also Bright Flame to discard energies. We're discarding with Arcanine as well, by the way. So because we are recycling with Magma Basin, we may not be able to discard that many early game, and eventually we would need to play Ultra Ball for the extra discard and use the ability more times than you would think. But if you use Greninja, Rapidash, and Ultra Ball on the same turn while doing a research, you could discard more than 4 energies in a single turn, in addition to the extra discards on the previous turns. So 4 discard in a single turn is a lot though. The only problem is, are you able to get enough energies into your hand for the discard? We got research to draw out the energies, so I don't think we should be too worried. We got our Schoolgirl as well, Greninja for the draw support. And if we for example have 8 discarded energies, we can actually do 240 damage already with Ember Star. So we just need 1 last discard in addition to 1 energy attached to our Simisear. Obviously, that means we need 2 energy in our hand to be able to pull off a V-Star knockout by attaching 1 onto Simisear, evolve it obviously, and then use Heat Boost with Rapidash for 300 damage, knocking out a V-Star with 1 hit. Because we are doing 270 for 9 discarded energies. For 9 energies in the discard pile, we get to do 270 with 𝓗𝓵𝓆. And we're hitting 30 more with Heat Boost using Rapidash's ability for the extra damage. So that's a total of 300 damage for only 9 discarded energies. For 1 energy cost, you get to do a V-Star knockout with your V-Star power. Super cool. Nobody ever uses Simisear for the V-Star power. So I'm quite happy to play it using the new Arcanine EX. And also our Silver Tempest Rapidash, helping us do more damage with all of our fire Pokemons. So we even get to play Rapidash to attack, by the way. We get to base in onto the Rapidash for 90 damage if we discard 1 energy from our hand. We get to do 90 damage with Rapidash for 2 energy costs, which is not bad. So if you attack with Rapidash though, they're gonna collect a knockout on it, and then on the next turn you got no more damage boost. I don't think it's smart to be attacking with it just because you're gonna lose the ability. We got only 1 Miriam to shuffle it back, and we actually have to evolve it back, and that means we got 1 turn that we actually are forced to do less damage with our Pokemons. Obviously you have to discard an energy every single turn though, and we can't actually play the ability even if we have it in play every single turn, just because we may not have enough energies in our hand for the discard. We need the draw support, we need to draw cards with Greninja, we need to attach from our hand, so we may not have enough for us to play the ability every single turn, even if we have it in play. And they just did a boss on the Simisear, but we got enough damage in the game for us to finish off the Duraludon with our 𝓗𝓵𝓆 on the next turn. They thought we couldn't actually do a knockout with the Simisear, because they should be doing a boss on something else, right? They should be doing a boss on the Rapidash or the Growlithe. But if they knock out something else though, we get to attack with the Entei, sorry, what's it called again? Arcanine EX, using Bright Flame a second time for a knockout. So they're trying to get damage in the game while causing us to get stuck, but we are not actually getting stuck though. We have the V-Star power to finish off the VMAX right now. So we're only doing 160 damage, but it's actually enough to kill off the Duraludon. 150, I think, my bad. So we got Rapidash from the prize thanks to Peonia. We actually played Peonia on the last turn, and now we know exactly where it is. It's at the 4th position of the prize, and 4th position is actually the 2nd position now because it got arranged. Funny thing about the prize is that it gets arranged though after you draw it out, even after playing the Peonia. So you have to actually count it properly. It always goes like 1, 2 vertically from bottom to top, 1, 2, and then to the next row you got 3, 4, and then onto the next row you got 5, 6. So if you drew 1 prize, it would be like 2, 3 for the first row, and then 4, 5 for the next row, and 6 for the last row. Right? Vertical rows. Okay. We got experience share, but we're not going to attach it to the Growlithe. We have to attach it to the Arcanine. And we got our Rapidash. We just need to research for 2 energies now. Oh, we got 1. We already got enough energies to attack, so we just need 1 energy in our hand, and we got the knockout. We got our Heat Boost for a V-Star Smash using Bright Flame for 280 damage. Look at that. 280 damage with Arcanine. Nobody ever does that. Without a Defiance ban. We got Experience Share and Magma Basin. No Armarouge in this deck. We have instead our Rapidash and Simisear. Such a cool combo. Rapidash from Silver Tempest. And we won against an EU IC deck. A crazy Vulpix, Arceus, and Duraludon, which is very, very meta. It's not really meant to counter an EX deck, is it? Most EXs have abilities though. Not all of them, but most of them have abilities. Well, Magnezone doesn't have an ability. Oinkologne doesn't have an ability. Gyarados EX doesn't have an ability. My bad. Most EXs does not have an ability. Gardevoir Miraidon, Koraidon has ability. Mimikyu EX doesn't have an ability. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if Vulpix is really is really that solid of a counter. Not sure why they're taking so long. Sorry, guys. So now we're up against a Gardevoir EX deck. Speak of the devil. Gardevoir is really annoying. Not because of how fast they are. They actually need to waste the first turn just to bench enough routes though. They need they need a couple turns of delay before they get to evolve their Curlius and Gardevoir, and once they got the Curlius and Gardevoir on the bench, that's it. That's it. They got like hyper consistency after that. They can do anything they want. They can attach any amount of energies. They can discard a lot of energies with not just the Curlia but also their Ultra Ball supporter cards. I mean, it's insane. Within a single turn, after getting enough Curlias and Gardevoirs in play, they can already play the Zacian for a knockout. Doesn't matter if you have a V-Star or V-Max in play, they can already use the Zacian for a knockout, believe it or not. They got even Pokestop for the discard, Ultra Ball, Zinnia, Curlia. It's crazy. So much discards in a single turn with research as well. Unbelievable. Radiant Greninja discarding even more energies. Kind of needs a Miriam though, doesn't it? If you're discarding that many things from your hand, from your deck, if you're discarding random cards with your Pokestop, you need like Miriam to shuffle back your Pokemons. You need Palpat to shuffle back your supporter cards as well. Okay, we got our Greninja for the first turn. That's always a good sign. We drew out a Cyclizar. I'm always hyper alert of Avery. You never know when they're gonna do an Avery. So never bench too many Pokemons because we have only one Miriam to shuffle back our Pokemons. And if we shuffle it back from the Avery, after getting abused by Avery, we wouldn't be able to shuffle it back to counter our research or the knockout, right? We may need to shuffle back the same Arcanine if we have the other one priced, and if we don't get our Peonia, we may have to shuffle back our Arcanine as well, or any other evolutions if we discard it by force using a research. If we have no choice but to discard it with a research, if we have it in our hand while playing the research, you know, it could actually be pretty awkward if we don't get our Miriam later on in the game, or if we have already used it against the Avery, we can't actually play the research. If we have extra evolutions in our hand that we can't actually use it yet. You know, for example, if we have the V-Star as we see right now, if we have the V-Star in our hand but no Simisear in play, we can't actually, you know, play the research since we know we are not able to retrieve back the Pokemon. So they got a Mew for the extra support, searching for an item using Mysterious Treasures, which is a very cool ability. They have the new art as well using the Crown Zenith special rare Mew from Celebrations. There we go, a research. And they discarded 2 other research though. Surprise, surprise, they actually discarded 2 other research from their hand. That's a really good news. But they got so many draw support. I don't think they even need it. They probably have Judge or some other supporters in their deck. Here comes the Gardevoir. I know they're gonna do it this turn. They're gonna do it already. They just need 240 damage. So how many energies is that? I think they just need 6 energies on a Zacian. 180 plus 60 is enough to kill off the Entei. But apparently they just benched another Routes though. Okay. No Zacian yet. I mean, they gotta wait for a knockout, right? Because they just benched the Routes. They just need 6 energies, but apparently they couldn't do it. No rare candy, not enough discarded energies. Possibly no switch as well. So maybe that's what Mew is good for, to dig for the switch. So we got nothing but Entei and Greninja for the draw support, but we have our supporter cards as well for this deck. Got 2 Research, 1 Serena, 1 Schoolgirl, 1 Youngster. Miriam isn't really a draw support unless, you know, until you get a Pokemon discarded from your hand or a Pokemon in a, you know, in a discard pile from the knockout. But we have Ultra Ball to discard our Pokemons though. So we have also 1 Raihan to get an extra energy into play while also searching for any card into our hand. We got 4 Basin in this deck, so it shouldn't be that hard to get the Basin. So we need the Basin early for Arcanine, just because experience share isn't really enough. So I think for this game we were actually forced to play the second Entei because we couldn't do our Basin early for some reason. I think we're only playing 3 copies for this game, I'm not sure. Pretty sure we have 4 copies though. But I'm not sure why we're not getting it early. Here comes the knockout. I know they're gonna do it. Storm Slash. If they don't do it by now, it would be kind of a embarrassment for all Gardevoir EX decks out there. So they better be doing a knockout this turn. Here it comes. As often as you like. Isn't that crazy? They can retreat and use back the energy onto the same Zacian. They can reattach for the retreat cost and then do it again onto the active. It's crazy. Unlimited energy retreat. Like, you don't need any switch cards. You don't need any switch cards for a Gardevoir deck. Another discard. If we have an Avery, can you imagine? At least we get to remove the Greninja. At least we get to force them to discard the Greninja. Sky Seal Stone. So we have a V-Star, and we're actually deciding not to play it for this game, I think. Until we deal with the Zacian, right? Until we've dealt with all of the Zacians, they may have 2 copies. We should not be playing the V-Star, because they got the Seal Stone. They may have more than 1 copy of the Seal Stone. They actually can't attach the Seal Stone onto anything but the Zacian though. So it's actually quite confined if they're playing a Research as well. It's kind of difficult to get the Zacian and the Seal Stone at the right time to play it. Because if you attach it onto your other... if you have a Lumineon, for example, for a Gardevoir EX deck, you can attach it to the Lumineon and then have it on the bench. They're probably going to do a boss though, right? But if you have it on the bench, at least you could play it later on in the game with your by benching a new Zacian and attacking with a new Zacian using the V-Star ability with Lumineon instead of having to attach it to the Zacian. But I don't think playing a Lumineon is really that smart, because you're giving your opponent an extra, extra prizes by targeting another V Pokemon on your bench. They are already playing low HP. Zacian has very low HP after doing the attack because they are attaching so many energies with the Psychic Embrace. And the more energies they attach, the more they get punished. So Gardevoir EX is not perfect because they are placing damage counters on the Pokemon that they decide to attach energies to. It is unlimited energies, but they have to be careful about the damage counters that they're placing. So good thing about Gardevoir EX is that you are actually not allowed to knock out your own Pokemon with the ability, and that means if you have, for example, 10 HP remaining, you can't actually attach any more energies onto that Pokemon. Because if you attach any more energies, you would essentially knock it out. So the ability specifically says that you're not allowed to do so. And that's actually kind of a good thing, I think, just because you may actually forget sometimes how many more HP you have. And if you make a silly mistake, for example, by attaching too many energies, you may actually end up killing yourself before you're able to attack. It does happen. Like, it's a silly mistake, but it does happen. It shouldn't happen, obviously, but it does happen. So we got another knockout. This is the risky part. Because we don't have an experience share. We do have Cyclizar for the next turn. But just because we have no experience share, we are not actually able to charge up the Arcanine. So we're kind of forced to play Ember Star on the next turn to finish off another Zacian. If they play the second copy, we have to play Ember Star to kill off the second one, right? Because they would essentially have enough damage counters on it for us to do the knockout. We don't really need to discard that many. So Ember Star and then Escape Rope, Magma Basin to attack with Fireball Fever for the final knockout, because 270 damage is enough to kill the Gardevoir, I think. If they don't attach energy from their hand onto the Gardevoir, they are playing Miracle Force for 4 damage counters on itself. So it's actually smarter if you're playing a Gardevoir EX deck to keep attaching an energy from your hand onto the Gardevoir. They may have to attach an energy onto the Zacian though, from their hand every single turn, just because they may not have enough in the discard pile. But if they keep attaching from their hand onto the Gardevoir, while discarding enough energies for Zacian to do a knockout, they can actually deny your opponent. They can actually force the opponent to do 310 damage to kill off the Gardevoir, because they have essentially no damage counters on it. Without any damage counters on it, your opponent is forced to do a lot more damage just to kill for another 2 prize. And apparently they're doing Psychic Embrace already. So no Zacian. They don't have the second Zacian, surprisingly. They just did a Judge. And now we got 4 cards in our hand. We got Ultra Ball for the evolution, but we need the Basin. We got triple draw, so I feel like we should be fine. That's so we can dig for the Basin. Okay, we got the V-Star. Are we gonna play the Ultra Ball though? Or are we gonna just draw cards first with Entei? So make sure you don't forget that Entei can still draw a card with Fleetfoot. Before making the decisions, you should be drawing cards first, or maybe playing the cards from your hand before drawing with Entei. It's very important. The sequencing is very, very important, what you choose to do first for this game. So do not ever play the wrong cards at the wrong time. Timing is everything. So we got Basin for us to play the V-Star power this turn for a knockout. If we do a knockout this turn, it would be very, very crazy, right? And we actually get to pull it off because we got the retreat cost by attaching from our hand onto Entei. We got an extra energy onto the bench with the Basin for our Simisear to do a knockout this turn. So we get to satisfy the attack cost for Simisear while also attaching for the retreat cost for Entei. I'm not sure why we're delaying the game. We already got enough to kill the Gardevoir. We just need to discard with Rapidash. So we got 7 energy in the discard pile after after retreating with Entei. We got enough in the discard pile. We just need 1 extra discard with Rapidash for 270 damage. Oh, we actually need Ultra Ball as well. Do we? I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to play the Ultra Ball. Oh, we don't have a Rapidash, my bad. We have a Ponyta on the bench. So we had to evolve. So that's the reason we chose to discard the energy. We have no choice but to discard the energy. We can't discard the V-Star. So now we have nothing in our hand, but we at least get to draw 2 prize. And hopefully we get to survive on the next turn by drawing just 2 cards from the prize. That's how we get a research. Fingers crossed, or a youngster at least. So we got 300 damage for a EX knockout, and we got 1 prize left. I wasn't actually aware that we had to discard our entire hand, just because Ultra Ball is discarding 2 cards. That's the bad thing about Ultra Ball, I guess. And we actually got a research though. We actually got a research from the prize. Look at that. So we just need to play like another basin. If they choose to play, if they, you know, remove the basin, we have to play a second one, a third one actually, and then do an escape rope. So they're not doing a knockout this turn. They're not doing a knockout anytime soon. They actually get to play a boss though. If they play a boss, they are knocking out the Entei. But if they play a boss though, we got Cyclizar for Magma Basin, and we just need 1 more energy on the Simisear to finish off the Gardevoir. I don't think we can kill the Gardevoir though. We don't have enough to kill the Gardevoir, do we? If they have 4 damage counters, I think they have 4 damage counters on the Gardevoir. Then we just need another 2 energies. We need 1 energy from our hand and 1 energy for Rapidash to do extra damage. So we actually need the heat boost to kill off the Gardevoir. But if we have the escape rope right now though, if we can somehow dig for the escape rope, okay, we got it. Look at that. So we won the game. We can win it right here on this turn by just doing the escape rope, switching onto the Cyclizar to play the basin and attaching 1 from our hand. We got enough energies to attack with Fireball Fever, knocking out one of their bench Pokemon with escape rope after retreating back to the Simisear. And here we go. We got a free 1 prize knockout, and we just need 1 last remaining prize to win the game. We even have our experience share for Growlithe. So they have 4 prize remaining, so if they knock out the Simisear on the next turn, even if we're not winning this turn, we got an extra energy onto the Arcanine, and we even got Cyclizar to basin onto the Arcanine for Bright Flame, hitting big damage using our EX for another knockout. We're not killing the Gardevoir though. 250 damage is not enough to kill the Gardevoir. We need the heat boost as well. So we need another energy from our hand. And I'm quite surprised that Research only got us 1 energy. Not sure why, but we got our Entei to draw cards. We can't play the Entei though. If we play the Entei, we got no more switches. So that's the bad thing about Entei. And we have like 2 more damage, 20 HP remaining on the Entei, and we can't actually, we're not actually allowed to play the basin onto the Entei, and that's the reason we chose to play escape rope onto the Cyclizar instead of the Entei. We could have actually played the Nest Ball for a second Entei instead of the Growlithe, and then use the basin for Burning Rondo with escape rope, but it's a little bit more fun to play Fireball Fever for the knockout, for the last knockout. That could be the reason why I did that, because we actually get to attach the experience share as well onto the Growlithe, which is kind of a a little bit more interesting. But we got the Nest Ball before the research though, before doing the research, so we should have definitely played it for the Entei, because we're actually not sure if we could do... we still need an energy from our hand though, right? It's the same thing. We need the escape rope and an energy from our hand if we want to attack with the Entei. So it's kind of the same thing with the Simisear. We need the same amount of resources. So might as well just play Fireball Fever. There's really no reason for us to be playing the Entei. Because we got Cyclizar. That's the power of Cyclizar. You can escape rope and then retreat back to the same Pokemon. So we had Fury Sorted Girl when we first started off building this deck. Fury Sorted Girl with 2 Cyclizar is actually pretty fun, because if you have, if you don't have the Cyclizar in play at some point in the game, you can actually bench it with the Fury Sorted Girl, do a Magma Basin, and then retreat after pushing it into the active. So Fury Sorted Girl allows you to bench any basic Pokemon from your deck and then put it into the active spot, allowing you to play the Basin onto your benched Arcanine, for example, if you have it in the active on the same turn, and then retreat back to the Arcanine to play your Bright Flame by attaching an extra energy with the Basin. So we're up against another EU IC champion deck. They're playing Alolan Vulpix, Duraludon with Arceus. And we actually got pretty close to an epic win for this game, if only we did not make a silly mistake. So another misplay from my part. I'm sorry about that. Can't help it. I don't know why. We played the Entei. We played Entei's ability at the wrong time, and that cost us almost the entire game. It's kind of annoying that we actually made that silly mistake, but the reason being, I was trying to reach for the sky, so to speak, by searching for solutions for a certain problem that I have to fix, and eventually losing my ground, losing my footing just because I forgot the basic foundations. So while exploring for new ways to break through an obstacle, while searching for solutions, I actually got lost in that process and forgot all the basic things of the game. Like, have I used my ability yet? Have I played a supporter card yet? It always happens. Like, when you try to counter your opponent's strategy and you're so focused on the strategy that you actually forgot whether you have played your ability, whether you have used your supporter card already, all of those simple things, you start forgetting them just because you're trying to reach for the skies. You're trying to kind of get past a huge obstacle. You're trying to break through the game by solving a big problem, finding a solution for the big problem, and you get so focused on that you actually forgot all the simple things that you have to keep in mind, that you have no choice, that you cannot afford to forget while you're playing this game every single turn. If you forget even for a single turn, all of the simple things, it could be the supporter card, it could be the ability, it could even be the energy. If you attach it already onto your bench Pokemon, you can't obviously attach 2 energy from your hand in a single turn, unless if you have like Cherrim for the ability to attach extra energies from your hand. So it could be simple things like that screw you over. You cannot afford to forget things like that. Like, I don't know how, but the pressure of the game just gets to you. And especially the timer, like if you have a limited amount of time to decide what you have to do, and you actually are kind of while searching for solutions, you have to be alert of everything in play, all of the abilities in play, like whether they have a V-Guard, whether they have a Stadium that reduces that blocks your ability or reduces damage, something like that. You have to be aware of everything while searching for solutions. That's why this game is so hard. So we got Basin for our Arcanine. That's a really good thing though, getting the Basin and experience share early. And we got Youngster. That's good. Let's hope we get to keep our hand for the next turn. Okay, this is the part where I made the mistake. This is the part, because I wanted to evolve the Simisear. We should have played the Fleetfoot first. So we discarded the fucking Basin. We should not be discarding the Basin. I don't know why I did that. I discarded the Basin. And then I drew the card with Entei. And then I realized, oh wait, I forgot to draw a card with Entei. And do you know what we drew from the top deck? Would you believe it that we actually drew a fucking VIP pass? We drew a VIP pass from the top deck after playing the Ultra Ball to discard the Basin, of all things. We have 2 energy in our hand. We should be discarding the Fire Energy. I don't know why we decided to do that. We're not doing a knockout this turn with the Rapidash. I think we wanted to play the Heat Boost early, So we were focusing too much on Rapidash. That's the reason. We wanted to play the Heat Boost early, just in case they do a boss on the Rapidash. I'm not sure why we need to do that though, because we got the knockout on the Arceus anyways. I think we're doing 200 damage without the Rapidash. So 200 damage, and then and then we can actually finish off the Arceus with our Arcanine. But we got Basin though. We can actually do Basin a second time and then hit for 70 damage with our Arcanine. 70 damage is not enough. That's the reason. If they do a boss on the Rapidash, we got Entei to hit it a second time, right? Entei can actually kill the Arceus V-Star by doing Burning Rondo twice, so we shouldn't really be too worried about when we should be using... we shouldn't be so focused on using Rapidash's ability that early. If we discard the energy with our Ultra Ball, we could have keep the other energy for Greninja on the next turn. Keeping the other energy actually allows us to play Heat Boost later on in the game by drawing out more energies with Greninja, possibly a research as well. And that allows us to last a lot longer, because they are actually playing a stadium now, and we got no Basin. We got no Basin in our hand, and we couldn't actually draw it out with nothing but Greninja. We won't be able to draw out the next Basin for a long time, because we have 2 in the discard pile now. So that's a really, really big misplay. A huge misplay on my part. Because if we have the Basin, we could have done Fireball Fever on the next turn. You'll see that we could have done Fireball Fever. So they're going to bring out the Vulpix. They're going to bring out the Vulpix for a knockout on one of our fire Pokemons while doing the Snow Mirage effect. So Snow Mirage is not going to do anything against our deck because we're not playing any Pokemon with abilities. The only Pokemon with ability that we are attacking with is Entei, but we can actually knock out the, Alolan Vulpix with our Arcanine or Simisear. So we shouldn't be too worried. We just need to finish it off with our Simisear at the right time. If we can play Fireball Fever to kill off the Alolan Vulpix, it would be crazy, because then we can keep the Ember Star for the Arceus, right? The second Arceus on the bench actually forces us to keep the Rapidash. If we have the Rapidash for the second Arceus, we should be able to do Bright Flame for another V-Star knockout. But they're probably going to target the Rapidash at some point. So we have to be extra careful here. We got Peonia. We're actually allowed to play that just because Raging Tackle, I think it's called Raging Tackle. With Arcanine, the first attack is actually enough to finish off our Arceus, the Arceus, since we only need 50 more damage. So sad thing is that Arcanine is gonna die on the next turn because they got Vulpix ready to go. So Arcanine is not able to hit for extra damage against the next Arceus, just because we need to bring out a second Growlithe though. If we can evolve the second Growlithe and attach the experience share, we actually did the experience share on the Simisear, which is kind of surprising. That's the reason why we were aiming to do the Fireball Fever, because we have the experience share. So if we do Fireball Fever and then Ember Star, we got not just the Vulpix knockout but also the Arceus by playing our V-Star power late game. But we couldn't get it. We couldn't dig for the Magma Basin. That was really, really annoying. We discarded the Basin at the wrong time, and that cost us almost the entire game. This is just depressing. I'm not sure what else we could do though. If we play the Growlithe, we can't get enough energies. So if we want to play the Growlithe, we should have done the experience share on the Growlithe on the last turn, but we couldn't even play the Ultra Ball. If we play the Ultra Ball, we would have not enough cards in our hand to survive and we kind of need the Ultra Ball for the evolution. So it doesn't really make sense for us to get the second Arcanine because we wouldn't be able to charge it up anyways. So we needed the V-Star with the Ultra Ball, and that means we can't actually search for the basic. We got Free Sorted Girl from the prize, so if we kept the experience share, we could have done Free Sorted Girl experience share onto the Growlithe while attacking with Ember Star. I don't know what we should have done, honestly, because we didn't attach an energy on the last turn. If we attach an energy on the last turn, we could have done Fireball Fever as well with the Simisear. So this is like, I don't know what we should have done, but this is very, very annoying. We made so many mistakes, and now we're forced to dig for the basin with nothing but Greninja. Okay, we got the research. Are we able to dig for the basin with the research? No Growlithe. We don't have a Growlithe. We need the heavy ball. So we're gonna play, let's attach the energy first, and then research to draw cards with Greninja. I'm not sure what's the best thing to do right now, honestly. I'm thinking of using Fireball Fever, if you guys are wondering. I'm definitely thinking of doing Fireball Fever to finish off the Vulpix. We don't even need a discard with Rapidash, we just need enough energies on the bloody Simisear. If we got a Raihan or a Basin, we could have done it, but nope, we got nothing. I think we shuffled too many cards. We shuffled our deck too many times, because we played the Nest Ball, we played the Capturing Aroma. We should not be shuffling the deck that many times. So make sure not to play that many items if you want to be drawing out the right cards. The reason being, I want to kind of compress the deck by pulling out, like getting all of those evolutions out of the way so that we actually have a higher chance of drawing out the right cards. But shuffling the deck too many times is actually going to screw you over. So that could be the reason why we're not getting the basin. I'm not sure. But now we're forced to play Ember Star. We're actually forced to do that. So they got Radiant 𝓗𝓗𝓵𝓵𝓼, and they're actually transferring the damage counter on the next turn, so we should not have benched the Entei. We actually did bench the Entei this turn. I don't know why. So we need an extra discard as well if we want to knock out the Vulpix with Ember Star. If we did Fireball Fever, we could have discarded more energies from the top deck, because we are discarding the top 5 cards of the deck to knock out the Vulpix, and that's actually perfect to set up for a knockout using our V-Star power against the Arceus. That would have been an epic knockout. It would have been the epic final knockout for the win. I mean, I don't know why I didn't see that. So never discard your stadium cards with Ultra Ball. Like, you've learned from me the hard way. Do not ever discard your stadium cards, especially Magma Basin, since we need it so heavily. If you need like your Gabejaw or Basin for your Zoroark V-Star deck, if you need your Path to the Peak, do not discard it from your hand. Never, ever, ever, because they're just never going to give you your next stadium unless if you have a Bibarel, for example. We're not playing Bibarel for this deck. That's probably the reason why we couldn't dig for our stadium card that easily. Because we are playing a solid 4 copies of our stadium, so it's actually very, very annoying that we couldn't dig for the next one. I mean, we didn't even get the Raihan at the right time, so oh well. We learned from our mistakes, I guess. So we actually managed to scrape through this game. We managed to survive by doing a Serena. I don't know why they benched the Arceus. They should not be benching the Arceus. So maybe they were pretty confident to dig out the Choice Belt with the boss, because if they have the boss, they can kill the Entei for the final 2 prize win in the game by doing a Nova. So Nova with Choice Belt is actually enough to finish off the Entei if they do a boss right now. But they need not just the boss, they need the choice belt. Defiance Band is not going to work, I don't think. Nope, both players have 2 prizes remaining. So if they don't do a boss right now, it's over. There we go. We won the game thanks to the Arceus on the bench. I don't know why they benched another Arceus. That is so stupid. So we made a terrible mistake of playing the Ultra Ball before drawing cards with Entei. And thank God they actually made a mistake as well of benching the Arceus. And that's the reason we won this game. So both players make terrible mistakes. But I don't really care. I'm just going to take the win. Because we got Fireball Fever and they weren't expecting that, I don't think. We may not have any more Basin, but we have our Fireball Fever with Simisear to collect the final knockout. Kind of a cringe win, because we could have done a lot better. And we could have gotten an epic clutch with Fireball Fever and then Amber Star for the final finishing blow. That would have been so I don't know, so satisfying. Oh my god, why didn't we see that? Why didn't we draw with Entei first before playing the Ultra Ball? That was so stupid. We don't even need to play the Ultra Ball. I mean, we could have done it on the next turn. That was so stupid. We could have played Heat Boost on the next turn with our Arcanine to knock out the active Arceus, because they have 80 HP remaining. We could have done a surprise Heat Boost. They could play a Judge though. You never know what's gonna happen. They could actually play a Judge. So even if we play it on this turn, we could still save our hand if we just play the Fleetfoot first. I don't know why I didn't do that. Oh my god. Entei. Draw cards first with Entei. I honestly can't live with myself after making that mistake, so I can't. I don't know why I'm showing this to everyone. My epic failure against we could have won, and we could have won by a mile against not just any deck, against a fucking Arceus-Vulpix deck, which is an AUIC champion deck. We could have done such a big win. But we didn't see. It's all my gameplay. My deck is fine. My deck is really good. It's just the gameplay. My gameplay is the biggest problem. I don't know why I'm doing all the wrong decisions at the wrong time. I need more practice. I'm sorry, guys. I just need way more practice than I think. I'm not really that good. So anyways, right now we're up against a Giratina V-Star deck. They're playing a Lost Box. So I think I'm just going to end the voiceover right here and leave you guys to focus on the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Today we are featuring our Arcanine EX with Simisear V-Star and using our Silver Tempest Rapidash for the extra damage boost, using Heat Boost for 30 more damage from all of your fire Pokemons for each copy you have in play. We're only playing one copy of Rapidash though, so we may have it prized, but we have Peonia to dig it from the prize if we have it in there. We also have only one copy of our V-Star to help us do Amber Star for a finishing blow, doing 30x damage for each energy in the discard pile, and we are discarding not just with Greninja, with Radiant Greninja for the draw support, but also with Heat Boost for the extra damage boost, using Rapidash's ability to help us do more damage with Entei, with our Arcanine EX, and also Simisear. We can also discard the top 5 cards of our deck with Fireball Fever, accumulating more fire energy in the discard pile for us to do Amber Star for the final finishing blow, doing a massive knockout against a V-Star or even a V-Max. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye for now, people. Enjoy life.
What's that? I think I can hear the rain starting.
Is everybody in the groove? Well, stick around. We're just warming up, baby.